Okay, we're going to start the new Maimer from Metzora on the Likkutei Torah, page 48. Okay, Pasuk says at the beginning of the parsha, this should be the laws of the Metzora on the day he becomes pure. The Arizal explains, what's the cause of, besides Lashon Hara that we know, but what's the cause of Negoyim, Machmas Istalkus, or Chachma? Because from the person who's a leper, the revelation of Chachma left them. Ki Metzora Choshev Kames. Because the Gemara says a leper is considered like a dead person. And there's a pasuk that says, Yamusu v'lei b'Chachma. They'll die with, meaning Chachma is life, Yamusu is without Chachma. So therefore, from Metzora's Choshev Kames, so therefore, because he left the level of, lacking the level of Chachma. We need to understand, what does it mean, the Seichel of Chachma, the Meichen, the brain of Chachma and the brain of Bina. Hine, Meichen, the Ema, what is the Meichen of Bina? K'mesher calls of Ema banim Smecha. The mother of the children will rejoice, Shaydei, his baininess. What does it mean? Through meditation of Bina. Bina is his bainin. Bina means delving deeply into. Nei l'ro'ava v'simcha. Give birth to love and simcha. V'rish be'eshin is burning fire of love and simcha. V'b'chinas arotzal is talik v'lechol batzmusi is barich. Okay? He says like this. The level of Bina, understanding, we learned already in the past, stimulates emotions. Now, the more a person meditates in the greatness of Hashem, the more he realizes how great Hashem is, and that causes him to want to be one with Hashem. Love means you want to be with the one you love. So therefore, meditation, Bina, is the concept of elevating oneself through Ratzu, but there's a level even higher than burning form of fire, which is the Meichen of Chachma. The first place, Rabbi explains in Tanya, the highest level, where does Hashem rest? Hashem rests whether it's in the spheres or in the person's body, in the neshama. Obviously, it rests in the highest level. The highest level is the level which is the most bottled to Hashem. Because the only vessel for godliness is bittul. If you're full of yourself, there's no room for godliness. So he says, Chachma is the highest level. Chachma is koyach ma. Chachma is the level of Bina. So that's the level where godliness rests. By days and nimshach bittul. He can't come to the level of Rat. I'll explain in a second. Which is the level of Yeshmi Sha'ayev. In other words, like this. Bina is understanding. Chachma is bittul. Koyachma. He says, when you meditate into something and you give birth to a love of something, Ava, as he uses the expression, you can be the highest, the Rabbi says this in Tanya, you can be the highest tzaddik. Oev Hashem ba'av b'tanugim. You can love God with ultimate pleasure. But there's yesh misha oev. There is somebody who loves. Any feeling, let's say you love somebody, that's you. You are feeling. A higher level than that is when you have bittul. There's no you which feeling anything. There's only the cause that you bottle too. There's no you that loves. So Bina represents the mother of Ahava and Simcha. And Chachma is even higher, it's the level of Bittul. That's the concept of bowing. In the Shemona Esrei, like it's written in many places. Look what it says. Okay, just look in all these places. Okay. Yeah, bowing shows that you don't exist. It shows subservience, submission, subservience. You bow to a king. It's out of showing that, it's only the king. You don't exist. You're bowing. You're not. But Bina, meditation, stimulates love. And love means I love. There's a feeling there. What? Bina is more intellectual. No, it stimulates love. When you meditate into something, Chachma and Bina are called father and mother because they give birth to emotions, emotional traits, midas. No, not only. Yeah. But he's saying the first level of the midas is Ava. Bina is an intellectual. Correct. But what stimulates love is intellect. Intellect stimulates the emotion. Where does the emotion come from? The emotion comes from stimulation of intellect. When you meditate how wonderful somebody is, how great somebody is, that causes a love to the person, that you want to be with them. But it's what you want to be with them. Chachma is only they exist, I don't.
Ultimately, they're always saying one way or another, everybody's selfish.
Good morning. Where the more you deal with people, the more you see it. Okay, so that's human nature, to be selfish. A whole avoid of a Jew, even Musa, not forget Chassidus. Musa is to not to be selfish.
And the avodah is to get away from that.
Yeah.
To be bothered.
Yes.
That could be misunderstood.
Why?
If you're not self-preserving.
Self-preserving is not selfish.
And so it could be misunderstood. A person could make a mistake as opposed to be self-preserving. He thinks that's selfish and he could ruin his life.
What is one thing has nothing to do with the next?
Yeah, it could.
No.
I'm just saying it could
Selfish means I come first. Musar and Chassidus teaches us somebody else comes first. It's nothing to do with self-respect. One second. A parent, if you're a normal parent, if somebody's a normal parent, yeah? The kids come first? Yes. Does that mean they're not self-preserved? One thing has nothing to do with the next. A parent who puts themselves first before the kids is not a parent. I mean, biologically they are. But they're not a parent. They're not parenting. Parenting can only be when you put the kid before you. And in a marriage, it's really the same thing. The only way a marriage really works is when the spouse comes before you. That's the facts. I mean, okay. He says, so therefore like this. Love, Bina, stimulates love, which is Ratzu, the longing to be with them. Chochma, on the other hand, is bittul, so it's shuv, not longing to, just what you are. That's bringing elokus down here. Bina is elevating the world to elokus. Chochma is bittul, bringing elokus down here. Lamshach onto this. It needs harchavis hakelim, because if you want to bring something down here, the wider the kelim are, the more you're going to get. So what is the kelim? To bring down elokus down here, that's the aces of Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shebal Peh. Torah Shebiksav is chochma, short and sweet, a dot, a spark, whatever. And Torah Shebal Peh is the level of Bina. You have to understand it, learn it, understand it. Torah Shebiksav, if you don't understand it, you still get a mitzvah of learning Torah. If you say Tilim and you don't know what one word means, you're still getting a mitzvah of learning Torah. Torah Shebal Peh, oral Torah, you just read it, you know what in the world you're talking about, you don't get a mitzvah of learning Torah. He says, remember this. She'ein nasa beis partzufim rochol leah v'rochol alachers galus mechen da'aba bezah. He says, whenever this Kabbalah stuff, when do the two faces of Rachel and Leah exist? Only after Seichel of Chochmah is revealed. Whatever. Ki Leah he aces a machshav, which is Torah Shebeksav. Leah versus Rachel. Leah says it's Torah Shebeksav, and Rachel is Torah Shebal Peh. Ki Samach Reish Eisis HaTeira. At the level of Eisis Machshav, like it says in the Pasuk Shemet Shapseisi Tishmeiru. And Rachel is Eisis HaDibor Shebetera Shebal Peh. Says in Kabbalah like this: Leah is Machshava and Rachel is Dibur. Okay? Now, when you say the word Yisrael, is an acronym for Yesh Shishim Ribe Eisis HaTeira. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah. Megal HaMukah says that the word Yisrael stands for Yesh Shishim Ribe Eisis HaTeira. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah. Even though there's only 305,000 something, how could you say six? Mamish half. So it says that's the letter. The Rebbe said that's what it says. That's the letters of Machshav of Torah. In Dibur, there is 305,000 something, but that's the level. Leah is Machshava Torah Shebeksav, because again, Machshava is like in one thought. It will take you 5 minutes to say it. But to express it takes longer. That's Torah Shebal Peh. And Torah Shebeksav is the Nekudah, don't do work, period. And then you got a whole Mesachta on it.
How do we define, like, Leah is
Leave it to the guys, the Kabbalists were paid to do it. Leave it to them. Therefore, the revelation of these two, Machshav and Dibur, Nimshach ideas Galus Mechen Dafka, which is the level of Bittul. Shemizen, Nimshach Hashuv, which is Amshach and Kalim Va'isis, which is bringing Elokus down into Kalim. Ratzu means it wants to leave the Kali. Like the simple example that is a fire on a candle is always wants to get off the candle. That's why it's flickering, because it wants to leave the candle. The second there's nothing holding it, it's out. Shuv means you need to return. It means you need vessels to keep it here. What?
The moment something doesn't nurture it, it dies.
Nurture it, have a vessel for it. You need to keep it here. If not, it leaves. If a person goes on a starvation for a long time, without cheating in the middle, eventually the neshama is not going to stay in the body. You need food to keep the neshama in the body. That's the keli to keep the food, the blood and the flesh, that the food becomes. Yeah, that keeps the person in the body. Then this week's parsha. Well, last week's parsha. Okay.
Give a synopsis of what he said so far. Okay, I'm not following.
Now, the Rebbe is saying that it's simplified. There's Chochmah and Bina. Bina is Ema Banim Smecha, a mother creates children. What are the midas? Love to Hashem. Okay, but Ava is the first of all the midas. So therefore so Ava is the one that a person wants to be connected to Hashem. He's longing to be with the one he loves. He's longing to be with Hashem, meaning my whole wanting in world is only godliness. Nothing physical, only Hashem himself. That's Ava. That is created by Bina. Then you have a second, which is the longing of the neshama wanting to leave the body. Rotzu. And then you have Chochmah, which is the level of Bittul, that you're bringing it back down to the Kalim. So Bina represents the going out of the body. And Chochmah, Bittul, represents Hashem wants it, that's it. So Hashem doesn't want me to leave the body. Hashem wants me to be in the body. That's why Chassidus explains, when the Gemara speaks in Chagig about the 4 tzaddikim that went up there into Paradis, right? Rabbi Kiva, Ben Zema, Ben Azai, and Acher. Okay? So the Gemara says according to the Yaakov's version. This one died, this one went crazy, this one became an Epicurus. And then the Gemara says about Rabbi Akiva, Nichnas b'shalom v'yotze b'shalom. He went in good and came out good. So the question is, why does it have to say Nichnas b'shalom? It says this guy came out dead, this guy came out crazy, this guy came out an Epicurus. It should say Rabbi Akiva, yotze b'shalom. Why does it? Oh, did you write the books? Anyway, so the Chassidus explains, why did he come out b'shalom? Because when he went in, the attitude was good. The other ones went in with an attitude of complete Nadav and Aviel style, leaving the body. Rabbi Akiva, why did he come out good? Because with the Ratzu, he understood that that's not what Hashem wants. Yeah, I have a love to Hashem, I just want to get out of here and be one thing with Him. But Chochmah Bittul says, but that's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants Elukus coming into the world.
So you do that without facing the situation.
That's why, one second, you need both things. Shuv itself is also no good. You need the longing and the returning. The longing and returning.
No matter what you're facing.
Correct. But you need to have both things. You need to have the longing and the returning.
Bina is the Metzora.
No, Bina is Ratzu. Momata Lamaila. Chochmah is bringing the Zach into the Keli. Shuv, bringing it into the Kalim. And that's why, starting from the beginning, what happened by Matan Torah? Hashem came down, and Moshe was told, well, Moshe Amar, Alei al Hashem, go up. What's the inyan of, why did it have to happen? Because Hashem is telling us in Matan Torah, the whole concept of Torah mitzvahs is to have the Jew going up and Elokus coming down. That's why, by Matan Torah, it happened that way. The Jew has to, from one side, because what happens is, if a Jew doesn't forget where he's coming from, he has a problem. When Yosef, named Menashe and Ephraim. Okay? Now Yosef represents Noah Katsen Yosef. Yosef represents Klal Yisrael. So when Yosef named his two kids, he named Menashe and Ephraim. Okay? Now we know Ephraim was more choshuv than Menashe, so Yaakov switched hands. Right? So why was Menashe born first? If Ephraim is more prominent, Hashem should have made him the B'chor. And then, we wouldn't have to do a hand switch. So again, Chassidus explained, very simple. What was the name Menashe mean? Kineshani Elokim, Hashem wanted me to forget my father's house, which means I'm not forgetting it. And Ephraim is Ki Efrani Elokim Beretzonyi. I was able to be successful. Okay? That means by Yidden there's Menashe and Ephraim. Menashe means remember where you came from. Then you could be successful in Mitzrayim. Because if you don't remember where you came from and you're going to be in Mitzrayim, you're going to become Mitzrayim. If you're only going to be in Mitzrayim, Kifrani Alikim, that Hashem is going to make me successful in Mitzrayim, what happens? Then you start saying, it's my doing, and my did made all this money, and it's nothing to do with Hashem. That's what happens. So what does a Jew need to remember where you came from? First, you need to know Ratzu, meaning know where you're coming from, that you really want to be there. And He is making you be there because that's your Avodah. Like the Rabbi explains in the Haggadah, Vayedid Mitzrayma Onu Sapi Adibur. The Jews went down to Mitzrayim, forced by Hashem. In the Haggadah. So the Rebbe said, because l'chayra, how does the Jew get to Mitzrayim? A Jew is Kedusha, Mitzrayim is the pits of the pits, Eretz Yisrael is the worst of all countries. How does a Jew come to Mitzrayim? So the Rebbe says, that's Anus Apiyadib. A Jew has to know that we're forced there. And that's not what I want. I'm only here, that's the shuv. I'm only here because Hashem wants me to be here. But where is my goal? Not here, back where I came from.
Why Hashem forced us there?
No, I'm not for it. Because a Jew by nature can't be in Mitzrayim. Neshama doesn't want, it says in Pirkei Avos, you live against your will and you die against your will. Why do we live against our will? Because the Neshama doesn't want to come down into a body. Neshama is basking in Gan Eden, basking in godliness. All of a sudden, Neshama says, there's a whole song, Neshamala. The Neshama, Hashem says, the Malach comes and says, you got to go into the body. He said, I don't want to. He said, we're not asking you. You live against your will.
Again, why did Hashem force us into Mitzrayim?
Force means because the Neshama by nature doesn't want to be in Mitzrayim.
Why?
So that's called forcing. If by nature I don't want to be somewhere, and you tell me to go, that's forcing. Not with a gun over your head.
Why did He force us to go to Mitzrayim?
Because Hashem is telling us what it means, what Hashem is telling us. I want you to realize this is not where you belong.
Mitzrayim, you know.
Right, Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim refers to the country, refers to the neshama in the body. The body is Mitzrayim. A Jew need to realize, I don't belong here. Yeah.
And by putting us here, he makes us, that's supposed to make us realize we don't belong here.
Yeah.
So again,
A Jew has to be aware that we're here because this is what Hashem wants, not because it's enjoyable here. The problem is when a Jew realizes, hey, it's pretty good here. That's the problem.
again, what's the purpose?
What do we learn in Vata Tetzava? The Rebbe's whole thing is complacency of Golus. Mesiras Nefesh of our times, the Rebbe says, right, is the fact that we are too comfortable in Golus. It's like they tell a story that during World War II, whatever it was, some people were allowed to eat treif. You know, they had no choice. But there was a person that was eating chazer, and you know, what in English is called you lick your lips, you go to the last drop, you know. For smakiv in the lip, in Yiddish, or I think it's Russian. For smakiv in the lip means, you know. So there was a Jew that was fresh chazer, but he was smacking, you know. So somebody came to him, he said, Mele, you have to eat it, okay, but you have to enjoy it. You know what I mean? You have to eat it, you have to stay alive. But how does you come to eat treif? You have no choice but to enjoy it. That's the issue. So Hashem says, yeah, you're in the Neshama's in the guf. Yes, I'm forcing you to be. Why? Because only down here can you accomplish. Like we spoke at the class Monday night. You can't plant in the air. Isha ki sazriya. Where does a Jew plant? Where does a person plant? In the ground, in the lowest level, is only where you can plant things and things grow. You're going to plant in the air, put a seed in the air, nothing's going to happen. The air is higher than the earth. Heaven is higher than earth. But Dafka, this is what Hashem wants, because Dafka down here, in Mitzrayim, meaning nowadays, Neshama in the body, Neshama in the Yitzhar and all that, that's what you accomplish.
Rabbi, to save one's life, is one allowed to eat human body?
Oh, yeah.
Animal.
Yeah, but that's if you die, not if you just enjoy it.
Extremes.
Yeah. Okay, so he says, okay, L'chein, machmes is, therefore he says like this. So what's Chochmah? Now he's explaining, going back to the beginning of the Maimon. What's the level of Chochmah? Chochmah is life, because Chochmah is the bittul of keeping godliness down here. Now, Metzora What did he do? He spoke Lashon Hara. It wasn't good. That's not the level of bittul. So when you don't have bittul, so what happens? The level of chokhmah leaves you. If the level of chokhmah leaves you, then you're musu. You're musu, you will die. Therefore, Metzora is like into a leper, is like into somebody who's dead, the Gemara says.
Well, a lot of people don't have chokhmah, they live very light and God. Actually, lighter than those who are so meditative.
A person, this life is temporary or permanent? No. So if a person lives a really good life, is it a really true emes? Is it good? No, because it's only 120 years. Yeah? So it's temporary. So it's not real. So to say I have a real good life, it's not true. It's not a real good life because after 120 years you're dead. Usually less than that.
Temporary can be very fulfilling.
Yeah, but it's only temporary. It comes and goes. So it's the emes. Emes is eternal.
Oh,
So it's not emes.
it doesn't matter because you never experience the eternity.
Your neshama does, and therefore when a person does a mitzvah, the neshama is in bliss eternally. When a neshama does an avera,
You don't know.
they get dead permanently until they do tshuva. I experience every day. What are you talking about? I experience every day. You're the only one that doesn't. No, I'm not. Everybody experiences, except you.
Consciously, the life that we experience is the one that's in the body.
I understand. But the body,
We're here to do.
the body, as Rabbeinu Bachaya says at the beginning of Chumash, Atinig miyad shenel matzchol yisyabesh. Rabbeinu Bachaya says a very interesting concept. The second you're born, you begin to die.
Yes.
Why? The second you're born, you have 120 years. You're a day old, you have 119, 364. So you'll be starting to die. You're dying. It's the dying process. If you think about it, the whole life of a person is preparation for death. Kids, the little kids prepare to go to school, the school elementary, then they prepare to go to high school, then they go to college, and then they get a job, and then they do this all to retire. And what's retirement the preparation of? Death. So the whole life they're preparing to die. But a person that lives a spiritual life is never preparing to die. On the contrary, the more they do, the more they're living permanently, eternally. So an intellectual person sees the future, sees the whole picture. Let me ask you a question. A sane person, they love a certain food. Yeah? But when they eat the food, they get sick for 2 weeks. Yeah? Really, they get stomach aches in 2 weeks. So, will a smart person eat it or not?
How delicious is the food?
Very, ultimately delicious.
A very smart person that is very undisciplined will do that.
Not a very smart person, a very stupid person.
No, it's one that has no control. There are a lot of
That's
people-
stupidity.
who are
Lack
very
of self-control is
smart,
stupidity.
There are people who are extremely smart and they have abuse of.
They're not very
substance
smart.
abuse.
No, they're not
actually
smart.
substance.
They have no,
They
they
don't
may,
have self-discipline. They might be intellectual.
but that's why the Gemara says, that's why the Gemara, who's smarter than all this, says, who is a chacham? One who sees the future. If you don't look at the future, you look at the now, the Gemara says, you're not a chacham, means you're a fool.
Short-sighted.
Short-sighted is a fool.